Now we'll talk about classes. Classes is um, classes is a new kind of data type that you can create by yourself. Python has some built-in commands, built-in data types. One of them is integer, string, list, dictionary, sets. So there are different types of data that we can have. And now you want to create your own data type. So there you will find the classes. They are helpful to you. So how to create a class? Okay, before I go for the creating a class, let me tell you, the classes has three things. The classes has data, the classes has methods, and the classes has constructor methods. It is also possible that class has nothing. So there could be an empty class, there could be a class with data only, there could be a data, there could be a data with method, class with method only. So, and there could be a class that has data, method, and constructor. So all kinds of classes are possible. So to start with, what we're going to do is we'll just say class and then name of the class. So you can say, for example, you have a student class. And if I want to make it empty class, I will just say type pass. That's it. So if I run this program, okay, and then you will see that the Python did not give me any error. It created the class and that's it. And we did not use this class even. So we just created the class. Now let's create a class. This was an empty class. Now let's create a class with a variable. So I say, okay, school name is equal to ABC school. There you go. So now so this class has a data only. And by the way, this is a class variable because it comes in the class, so it is a class variable. We have two types of variables. We'll talk about that. But at the moment, just keep in mind that this is a class variable. This is a class variable. Jalila, आप लोगों के क्या क्या लेक्चर के अंदर आ रहे हैं खुदा का खौफ करो यार जलीला So if I run this program and then you see it created the class and there is no error in that. So this is how you're going to be creating a class. Now, if I want to, let's use this class. So how we can use this class? We have to create object. Okay. So how we can create the object? This S1 is my variable and I can say student and that's it. So I'm using this class now. I created S1 object, okay? And this S1 object has this one class variable. I can create another object is equal to, then I can say student like that. Now we created two objects. Now let's access this class variable. So we can access the class variable. And by the way, this class variable is common in both object. Okay, in both object. So I can say, okay. So in other words, I can access this name. I can access this class variable in, oh, this is 2. In both variables, S1 and S2. And by the way, these are not variable. S1 is an, you can say it is an object, okay? Or you can say it is you can say it is an instance, for example. The S2 is an instance. Instance or an object, same thing. This process of creating the instance is what we call instantiation, okay? Instantiation. So this is the process that we call instantiation. So we created, and this is, you can say that this is an object or this is an instance variable. S1 is an object variable, or you can say instance variable, just to make your life easy, whatever the name you can say. Or you can say S1 is an object, S2 is an object, or S1 is an instance, or S2 is an instance, whatever you like. Now, so we can access this S1, and I can say, okay, school name. So that is how I'm trying to access the variable, class variable, with the help of instance. So let's run it. And there you go. You see that? Now, let me check the same. I'll say S2 dot school name. Now, it will read the S2 dot, it will read S1, and it will read S2 variable as well. So that is how I created the instance variable and class variable, and I'm accessing the class variable with the help of an instance variable. Now, is it possible, because this is the class variable, so I can access this class variable with the help of class name. Let's try that. So I can say this is my student class name, school. Okay, so let's try that. If you can print 3 times, so it means the last one we are printing through the class name. So class name can be accessed with the help of a class name. Sorry, class variable. Class variable can be accessed by the class name. Class variable can be accessed with the object name. Okay, so this is what we have. Now, what we are trying to do is in this example, so we have the same example. Now I'm trying to change the name of, I say S1 dot school name is equal to, I can say XYZ school. Okay. So what is happening is it is not going to change the class variable at this point in time. Let's see what is the answer. Now you see that the first one is XYZ school, which is the first one, S1 is XYZ school. And then second object is not changed. Second object is using the same value. The class variable is using the same value. Okay. So what's happening here in this case? Actually, S1 created a new variable. And this is not a class variable. It is similar to the class variable because school name and the school name, they are the same, but it's a new variable in S1 object. And this is a new value that we are using in that case. So keep in mind, it looks like, I have an explanation here, it looks like you're changing the variable, changing the class variable. No, you are not changing the class variable. You created, with the help of this command, you created a new instance variable that is school name. And that is what you are accessing, S1 dot school name. And that is where you are getting the output of XYZ school. Now we'll talk about information hiding. Now, at the moment, what is happening? We are accessing the variable, we are accessing these class variable outside the class. The class finish here, okay? The class finish here. This is outside the class. And we are changing the values, or we are accessing the values outside the class. This is not a good idea in object-oriented programming. Okay, so one of the main tasks of object-oriented programming is information hiding. You hide the internal details so user cannot mess up with the value. You see, the user is messing up with the value of the school name. He's changing the value. We don't want that. So what we're going to do is to make that kind of changes, we can make the variable private. It is a class variable, but it is a private variable. Now, with the help of double underscore. And now, if you try to access this variable outside, you won't be able to either access or you won't be able to change the value. So let's try that. So I say xy s1.xyz school is xyz, and let's try that. So you see that we got an error message. S1 dot school name. He says this is hidden. Okay, we can try this one. We can try this one, and we can try this one. There you go. No attribute. He cannot see outside the class. Okay, so this is not possible. Let's try this example. We have a variable, class variable, and then we have the private variable. Okay, so I can make it like that, so we can see on one line, and then I have a method. Okay, I have a method that is I define a method display, and we'll talk about the self very soon. And now I'm trying to print the variable name, and I'm trying to print the variable age. I have to say self dot. So self is kind of a reference to your own value, own data. So you can reference. So we have S1 object, okay? And now I'm trying to so S1 is an object. I'm trying to print S name. I cannot print the name outside, okay? If you try to print name outside, sorry, the age. So S1 dot underscore age. If you try to print age outside, you will get an error message. Okay. But what you can do is you can say, okay, I want to use the display method to display me the values. So we created the object S1, and I say, okay, please, can you display me the values of the S1? And I'm using the display method. Here it is possible. You can display the hidden variable, you can display the class variable. So I just, okay, so we have some problem here. Unintended. Oh, we should not be having. This is fine. Maybe like that. They have to be in the same sequence. There you go. So yeah, you have to be careful about the sequence of the variables and the class. So now you can see that with the help of s1.display, we are working on this one. So we cannot access s1 dot print s1 dot underscore age outside the method. Not possible. Yeah, we can access name because it's not a private it's a public variable. We can access that. Ahmed, so it is displaying here Ahmed and age, and then it is displaying the last name Ahmed. Okay, I can just put something, a comment like that. I'm outside the class. Okay, and I can just try, and I'm outside the class, and Ahmed name is printed here. So yeah, so we are hiding with the help of double underscore that will make the variable private, but still it is a class variable. This is a public variable. Okay, public variable you can access from outside the class, but as we are accessing the outside the class, but private variable you cannot access outside the class. Another thing, the dot, this is, you can say this is the member operator. Okay, this is the member operator you can keep in mind. We do have a concept of encapsulation. Actually, this is what we have done so far. This is the encapsulation. You're wrapping the data, which is this one, and the method inside the class. And you're protecting the data from any outside interference. Okay, so whatever you're doing, you are working in the data in the class, and you are having a data inside the class. So even if you want to change, you should not be able to change from outside. You should be changing inside the method. So, and this self is referring to the current object, any S1. So self S1 has everything now. And if I say, if I can have some annotation, okay, so this S is like, what you're gonna say, S is like an object, okay? S1 is like an object, and it has a name with the value, and then age with a value, okay, and it has a display method with all those things. So this self, you're writing self here, okay? This self is basically, I'm talking about the S1. Hey, whatever the value you have in the S1, please use that one. If we have another variable S2, then in this display method, the self will become S2. So we are working on the S2 object. So this is how we can work on that. Now we have another example of the encapsulation. So we have, okay, in this encapsulation, now we are working on instance variable. As I mentioned before, we have a class variable, which is, and then we have instance variable. Remember that instance variable is the variable of, is defined in the init method. That will be the instance variable. The class variable will never be defined in the instance, in the method. Class variable will always be outside the method. Like we have a school name, okay? This is outside the method. So instance method will always be inside the method. So let's define the insert method here. So I'm gonna say, let me copy paste from here. So this is my instance method, okay? So okay, we know that it's a private variable. So this is defined underscore init underscore, and this is my self variable, comma, name and the age. We'll talk about that. These are the two parameters we are passing. Guys, these are the parameters, okay? Not the argument. These are parameters. So what I did, this is my private variable name, and this is my private variable age. And I pass on the value name to this one and pass on the value of age to this one. And then we have I want to set the age, okay? I have another method that I will. So this is what I'm trying to set the age. So I'm changing the age. But with this changing the age, okay, let's remove this part. I just don't want to be, stingy. And I say, okay, this is mine. So if you want to change, you have to use the method. And now I want to display the method. So what I will do, I'll do the same thing. I'll paste the method. So I have a display method. It will display the name and the variable. And now this is an instance variable, a private variable. I will not be able to access from outside. So what I'm going to do is I'll just let's instantiate the variable. So I say, okay, S1 is equal to student. And this time, by the way, what I will do is I will pass on the value. Because when it will create the object, it will definitely go here. Always. It will always goes to the init method by default. You don't have to call. So I say Alice, and the age is 20. So, and if I say, okay, S1 dot display. Okay. So it will create the object S1. It will put the value into these variables, and then I'll be using S1 to display. So let's see if I can. And did you see that? Now I want to change the value of S1. So I cannot change the value of S1 like that underscore age. I have to call the method set age, and I'll pass the value 21. And I want to display this value again. So it will go to this method. It will change the age with a new value. Okay. And then if I just go up there, and you see, it created, it displayed, and then it changed the value to 21. And when I say S1 display, it displays with the 21. Okay. So this is what we call encapsulation. It is hiding the data and the method inside the class. Any changes you want to make should be happening inside the class, not outside. So if you see here, we are having a student name Amin and display, and we are changing the age, and we are changing the age of the same student again. And this time, why it is invalid? Because we are having if statement. Now let's run this code, and let me copy paste. And you see that when I will change the S to 26, it will say, hey, 26 is out of the range, invalid update. So let me delete this code and run this code again. You see that? Amin 20, it printed Amin 20. And then I set the change to 24. It changes the age to 24. You see? But when I change that age to 26, it says an invalid input. Must be, okay. Yeah. So when we, okay, it updated here. Okay. We are having some issue. So let me go up there and I make it like that. Okay. So it will display, it will create the object with Amin and 20. It will display the variable. It will display Amin and 20, and then it will change the variable and it will display with a new value. And then when we try to update with 26, it will say invalid update. Now, you see that? Amin and 24, and then must be between 15 and 25. So that is how we can, this is what we call encapsulation, guys. You can change inside the method, inside the class. Outside the class, you cannot do anything. So this topic that we have, the abstraction, Keep in mind, we have two types of classes. Abstract class, it is like a plan or idea, okay, or like a rule book. What kind of rules? Oh, this class will have these two methods, and those are compulsory method. You can have additional. So we have two types of classes. One is abstract class, and the other one is concrete class. Abstract class, like this one is, this is an abstract class. It will just have a name, and that's it. No implementation, just a name. Just to take exam. So student is a class, and I say, this is an abstract class. It has a method study. It has a method take exam. Now, so this class will have anybody who will use this class. This is an abstract class, we cannot use it. We can use it in a concrete class. So we will take this class and we will create another class as a concrete class. That concrete class must implement this method, must implement this method. Then we can say, yeah, this is a concrete class, that it has the implementation. So imagine if it is a school student, you also do the study, you also take the exam. If it is a college student, you also do the study and take the exam. If it's a graduate student, also study and take the exam, you know. So, we want that anybody who create any class for the student, he must implement these two methods. So this is like a rule or a plan or an idea. So that's it for now. And we'll talk about another thing that before I close the lecture, let me tell you that Python has built-in objects. These are the objects that we are building by ourselves with the help of classes. But Python itself also has the object, built-in object, like list, like a dictionary, like a set or a tuple, string, integer, float, like these. So these are all objects which are useful for the programmers, and these are not enough. So programmer can create their own data types. So that's it for now. Inshallah, next time, see you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.